As researchers, we want our work to be visible. We want our work to be cited as well, because at the end of the day, that's how we are evaluated as researchers. For instance, if you want to apply for a promotion or if you want to apply for NRF rating, they want to see your research impact. And there are various tools or ways that one can use to evaluate the impact of a researcher. So basically, the reasons why we need to enhance our visibility as researchers is to basically, firstly, to showcase our research outputs, what we are researching about, because we basically researchers conduct research to basically close the gaps in knowledge, to share with experts in the same field of expertise as well. So another reason is to also build collaborations as well, because I have noticed that, especially since you mentioned that you have a Google citation profile. You might also notice when you log on to that profile that if you might have collaborated with certain authors, even though you haven't shared your publication or you haven't added your publications on Google Scholar, automatically by being a co-author of a certain article, you would also you'd also be visible on the platform, even though you haven't updated that particular article on the Google Scholar platform. But if your co-author might have added, then it also enhances your visibility as a co-author. The same applies to on ResearchGate. So on ResearchGate, if for instance you might have, I'm not sure so far how many papers you have. So if for instance maybe you might have updated or added 2 articles or other forms of research outputs on your ResearchGate, and you, in a case where you might have other articles that you haven't updated on your ResearchGate platform. However, if you might have collaborated with someone who might have added that particular article on ResearchGate, by virtue of being a co-author as well, people would also be able to view your work as well. So collaborations really help a lot in building our visibility as well. Because I'm also a researcher myself. I've noticed that people that I have collaborated with, some of them don't even have a ResearchGate profile. Yes. So when I need to update the papers that we might have co-authored together, it would then, give me an option to invite those people to actually create a ResearchGate profile as well. So that's also another way of enhancing our visibility as researchers. Okay, and another thing as well, it also helps to enhance our impact as far as citations are concerned. Like I mentioned earlier on, as a researcher, you spend so much time, you dedicate much time, effort, you conduct research. You want, at the end of the day, you want your work to have an impact, because researchers don't only just publish for the sake of publishing, but there should be a problem that you're trying to solve by conducting that particular research. So you want to see the impact that your work has out there. So there are actually 2 ways that research outputs are actually measured. We have what we call bibliometrics. Those are traditional methods that actually looks at the citation impact. For instance, if you want to apply for, let's say, a promotion in your department or NRF rating, they would want to see your impact from 3 main platforms. From Google Scholar Citations, they would want to see your citations and your H index from Google Scholar Citation. And the second platform that they would want to evaluate you on is on Scopus. And one can only get such metrics on Scopus if you have published in journals that are indexed on Scopus. So it's advisable as librarians. We actually advocating for researchers to actually publish in journals that are either indexed on Scopus or Web of Science, because at the end of the day, it's going to help you when you need to apply for promotions. Because unfortunately, institutions and the NRF, they look at those main three platforms, the Scopus, Web of Science, and also on Google Citations. You find that you find, I'll just give an example of this. I came across an instance whereby I had this professor. He had, a track record of publications, more than 30 publications. Can you believe that he didn't even have a profile on Scopus or Web of Science? So you can imagine what that does to that research at the end of the day. How are they going to measure his outputs? So it's advisable to actually target those journals that are indexed on Web of Science and Scopus, and most of these are also available on the DHET list of accredited journals. I'm not sure if you are aware, but there's actually platforms on either Scopus or Web of Science that can help you to match your manuscript to a particular journal, a relevant journal. I'm not sure if you have used those type of tools, journal matching platforms. I think I will have to just show you how it works, because it actually simplifies things. So let's say now you have you're working on a particular manuscript, and you having difficulties or challenges in identifying relevant journal that you need to publish that manuscript on. So with these journal matching tools, what they do is, once you log in on the platform, you will then have to just insert the title of your manuscript and your abstract. Then from there onwards, it'll give you a list of relevant journals that are related to your abstract of that particular manuscript. It actually saves time, and I will just make show you on Scopus, because you can. It doesn't only give you a list of these journals. It also shows you the turnaround time in terms of the review process for those particular journals. So before actually submitting, you would then know how long it'll take for me to get feedback from this particular journal, and the acceptance rate as well. So you'll also see the acceptance rates of those particular journals. I'll just do a short demonstration just to show you how to use those journal matching tools. And another reason why it's important to use these platforms or tools to enhance our visibility is that, as a researcher, you would also be, recognized academically as well. You would also, other experts who regard you as an authority in the field would then, invite you to speak at conferences, at events, and so forth. So that also adds on your profile as a researcher. And you can also get job offers as well. So, with your work being out there, before actually I started, I just, searched to see where, like you mentioned that you have a Google Scholar. I have seen that you do have a Google Scholar platform, and you also have a Scopus platform, meaning that you have published in journals that are indexed on Scopus as well, which is a very good thing. And in terms of ORC ID, I've also noticed that you have merged your ORC ID with the Scopus, with your Scopus profile. That helps a lot in enhancing your visibility as well. So you can also, get or build communities of or belong to a community of practice, people that are experts in the same field of expertise. So you can join communities of practice or groups for researchers that can also help at the end. That can also help in terms of collaborating on research projects. So it's not only for networking, but it can also open other doors as well. So from joining those networking platforms, you can collaborate on research projects. Some of the people that you might be part of their networks might also even offer you opportunities, job opportunities, or even invite you as a keynote speaker and so forth. So it opens many doors. And this image is just something that I found, a struggling scientist, and he's begging for his work to be cited. Because you can imagine, as I mentioned, at the end of the day, you want your work to have an impact. And as a researcher, for you to be rated, for you to get promotions, then you need to have your work to be cited. That's the main reason why we strive to join these or use these visibility tools. So and how else can we enhance these our visibility as researchers? We can enhance research visibility by publishing in high impact journals or highly ranked journals. I mentioned that on it's as librarians, we have a mandate of advocating for publishing in reputable, not only reputable journals, but high impact journals. And most of these high impact journals are indexed on Scopus and Web of Science. As I've indicated earlier on, I'm going to demonstrate on how to use the journal matching options on Scopus, and I will also show you how to use that also on Web of Science as well. And sometimes if you're not sure, because as much as we have that DHET list, it's updated on an annual basis. Some of the journals might not be in that list, however, they might be accredited. So if you are not sure, let's say now you might have identified a journal that you are interested in submitting your paper to, but you're not sure since it's not listed in that DHET list. What you can do is you can just, contact the research librarians, or you can contact me. I will leave my details after before the end of the session, so that we can check for you the credibility of that particular journal. However, if you are using Scopus or Web of Science journal matching tools, I can assure you, you won't go wrong. It's going to assist you a lot. Okay, so research visibility again is enhanced by research collaborations as well. When we get to collaborate on papers, that's how we can get to enhance our visibility as researchers. And also publishing in open access journals really helps a lot, because not that I'm against publishing in those subscription database journals. Open accessing publishing actually ensures that your work your work is actually accessible to everyone, meaning that it will be highly cited. It will be cited because people would have access to your publications, and they will also get to read your work. They will get to use your work, because there won't be any barriers in accessing your publications. So it's also advisable to publish in open access journals as well. And on Scopus, there are also open access journals, even on Web of Science as well. And another thing that one can use is social media. When it comes to social media, we tend to have a perception that it's we don't regard it as, having academic value. But these platforms can actually help because, you can actually reach out to a lot of people, including
Yes.
academics as well.
Yes, I've been seeing, hey, recently although I'm sort of falling in the younger generation, I'm not very quick on these, like Instagrams and even Twitter
Yeah.
or whatever. And I'm not even very, um, what can I say, active on Facebook. But I have recently joined Twitter and I
Mm,
see that a lot of these popular labs that I follow their work, like what they usually do because it's of interest to me in my research field. They
mm,
have little groups on Twitter and they usually post all this like little snips of, these like work that they did,
mm.
and they get a lot of attention from that and a lot of commentary starts. And I think it's really working well on
Yeah.
these social media platforms. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And earlier on, I mentioned that there are two ways on how our research can be evaluated. We have the bibliometrics; those are traditional metrics, so they purely focus on the citations
Mm-hmm.
of our work. Then we have what we call alt metrics. I'm not sure if you have heard of that, alt metrics. So these are alternative metrics. So with alternative metrics, they are more popular with social media platforms. For instance, if you have a Twitter account and you share your research outputs on Twitter, then without metrics, what they do is they can track how, the number of downloads, the number of reads, the number of shares of that particular publication. Okay. And another way that we can enhance our research visibility is by using repositories, institutional repositories.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in the university, we have Govsi Scholar, which preserves the research outputs of the university, be it thesis and dissertations and also research articles. But in terms of articles, then it also depends on the archiving policies of the journal that you might have submitted your paper to. So you can't just, submit your paper to Govsi Scholar. You need to look at the archiving policy of the journal first. It allows archiving, and you also need to look at the embargo period because usually journals have an embargo period. So after that period had lapsed, then they would say you are then able to share your work in the repository. That can also enhance your visibility
Yeah.
because the institutional repository is open to anyone globally. So whether you are a student or a staff of the university, you automatically have access to all the research outputs preserved or archived in the institutional repository of the university. And if, for instance, you might have published in an open access journal, then
Mm.
that's where you can, opt for your article to be, added on the on Govsi Scholar. And the other platform that we have, another platform is Figshare. Figshare is a platform that it's mostly used for preserving or archiving data, research data. But you can even share your presentations because sometimes you will get to go attend conferences, present papers and so forth. So you can also share your PowerPoints on this Figshare platform. So you can access Figshare. You can just go to your normal Google platform,
Figshare. Okay.
Figshare.
Oh.
Yes. You can say Figshare UFS because some institutions, they are using Figshare, whereas others are not using it as yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is our institutional fixed share platform.
Hmm.
So currently, you can just browse there by
Mm-hmm.
category there. And as you can see, some have already shared their data sets there on the Figshare platform. And as I've noted earlier on, you can also share your presentation slides. Like this researcher, Mahlaga Molepo, he's one of my colleagues. He presented this at a conference. He has shared this on Figshare. This also enhances the visibility of this of this researcher as well. With sharing data sets, it also assists, open data, it also assists with enhancing the research outputs as well, because some of the barriers in terms of public publishing is lack of access to data. So when one has data and you are even able to, if maybe you might have accessed certain data and you need, more information, you can also contact the researcher themselves, you know, to just follow up. People spend so much time collecting data, then you collect
Mm.
the data, you use it. What happens afterwards?
Yeah, not all of that data gets used in the publication and whatnot.
Exactly, exactly. So, someone out there might actually need that data. So, as I've noted earlier on, that it's more recommended or advisable in order to enhance your research visibility, um,
Mm.
publishing in high impact or high ranked journals. It's one of the strategies that you can use as a researcher. So while we are here, I'm going to then show you how to use those journal matching tools. So you can basically go to access Scopus directly from Google or go through the library page. I will just use the library page, UFS Library.
Mm-hmm.
Then go onto the website of the university. Then from here, under resources, we click on electronic resources. And
Electronic,
what's
yes.
nice is that you can access all these electronic resources from the comfort of your home. So you don't need to, yeah. So that's what's nice about this. Okay. All right. So from here we need Scopus.
Oh.
There is Scopus. However, the last time I checked here, the journal matching link, it
Mm.
takes quite some time to find the journal matching link here. However, as I've mentioned, you can also do this directly from your Google platform. Because in this
Yes.
case, you won't be trying to access, an article. You'll only be looking for a list of relevant journals. Quickly, I will just Scopus journal matching. You can just type in Scopus journal
Oh.
matching. Then there will be your option there, find journal Elsevier journal finder. You will then enter the title of your manuscript. So I don't have anything that, okay, let me just quickly search here.
Journal matcher.
I will just look. Okay, this paper that I've been working on. Okay, then I just enter there, including my abstract as well.
Oh, so you paste the whole abstract in there.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Nice.
All right, there we go. Then I click on the keywords. I think I can do with this is sufficient.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it does, yeah, it doesn't necessarily need you to enter the keywords, but if you want, just to enhance the relevancy of the results, you can just enter all that. But I believe that the title and the abstract are sufficient.
Mm, mm.
So here I currently have 49 journals. And the ones,
Wow.
the first ones there on the list are the most relevant ones that I can submit my manuscript to. So
Uh-huh.
my manuscript is obviously related to library since I'm in the library field. So as you
Mm-hmm.
can see there, that's the first journal there. It gives
Okay.
me the side score, the impact factor of the journal, the acceptance rate. So you see 10%.
Sure.
So that will also indicate to me that, this is it's actually one of the highly rated journals or
Rated.
highly ranked journals on Scopus.
Mm-hmm.
Usually those
Mm-hmm.
ones, in terms of their acceptance rate, it's very low because they don't just accept anything. Yeah, and it won't take that much time to wait in terms of getting feedback. 5 weeks, it's quite reasonable. Their turnaround time is it's quite reasonable. So from here you can just see, the list of journals based on just the title and the abstract. And should you be interested in submitting to the journal, you can just click on this arrow here and you can go directly to the journal platform where you can get their author guidelines on how to format your paper and so forth, their referencing system and all the other things. If you're comfortable, then you will then be able to submit to the journal. So basically, in a nutshell, this is how to find high impact or journals that are indexed on Scopus, just
Mm-hmm.
using your manuscript, your manuscript's title and the abstract. Okay, and another platform that you can use is Web of Science. So Web of Science, I'm going to go directly from the library page, Web of Science. There you go. Okay, so here on one can use the EndNote feature to access the journal matching tool. So from here, the last time I checked, it will require me to log in. Yeah. So once you click on Web of Science, then you click on the EndNote tab, it will take you to the sign in page, then you click on register. Once
Got it.
registered, in future you will then sign in. You can even sign in using your Facebook or your LinkedIn. So I have also been using EndNote to reference. As you can see, this is my EndNote library, my
Mm-hmm.
cloud version, the cloud version of my EndNote platform. So in terms of finding, journals, I would then click on match. Then you are even able to search for titles. So if maybe you have identified a title and you want to just verify if it's indexed here, you can just search. But if you're looking for journals that are relevant to your manuscript, you have your manuscript. But I have signed in. What's happening now? Let me just click on login. It's now asking me to sign in, though I have signed in. All right,
And
there we go.
already.
Then
Oh, there's title and
yes. So I'll
okay.
just use the very same
Okay.
paper, my title. Then I click
Mm-hmm.
on find journals. It's now loading. These are the journals. Yeah, so it has found 20 journals that are related to my manuscript. And these, what's nice is that, some of the journals that you would find here would also be indexed on Scopus as well. So you'll be, killing two birds with one stone. So most of the journals that are indexed on Web of Science, they are more like, there are chances that they are also indexed on Scopus as well. All right, going back to our presentation. Okay, so I've also mentioned that, we can also use academic social and networking platforms. What I've noticed, I used to also assist researchers with, when they were applying for ratings on the NRF. That form, it's very tedious, it's cumbersome. There is a section where they also want you to, merge your OC ID on that form or application. I've noticed that if your OC ID profile is updated, once you associate your OC ID profile on that application form on the NRF, it will then, get all your details from OC ID, just, it helps in filling in that form quickly if your OC ID profile is complete. So one can also use LinkedIn, Facebook as well. Yeah, and also Twitter, like you mentioned that, on Twitter, there's quite, in terms of academics, I've mentioned that most researchers and academics, they are not reluctant to using Twitter as opposed to Facebook. So I've also touched on Figshare as a platform that you can use to share your research outputs,
Yes.
your data, your presentation, conference presentations, and so forth. And Coffee Scholar I've also touched on as one of, the platforms that you can use to enhance visibility of your research outputs, more in particularly open access publications. So that's basically how one can actually enhance their research visibility, and it goes beyond enhancing visibility. Actually it goes beyond that, because you can get a lot from that as well. At the end of the day, you want your work to be you want your work to have an impact, because as much as it's more about quality than quantity. You can publish as much work, as many papers as possible, like giving you that example of a professor who didn't have you know any papers from journals indexed either on Scopus or Web of Science. So to him, I believe it was more like quantity than quality. So unfortunately, when you are evaluated as a researcher, they look at quality as opposed to quantity. Though quantity does count, but they mostly focus on the quality of the work, because you can have one paper on Scopus, but yet have an H in a high, maybe three. Your H index might actually be 3, and you can have someone with 5 publications on Scopus with 0 citations. So quality counts over quantity sometimes, because once they look at your H index, they usually look at quality, your number of citations, because you can
Yes.
have someone with 5 papers and 0 citations, meaning that they won't have an H index, but you can have someone with 1 paper with so many citations that at the end of the day is going to enhance their H index. You can also use your OC ID. You know what I do with my OC ID? Ne? I also use it on my email signature, and I also use it on my CV as well. Even on my LinkedIn profile, it's there. So the minute when someone clicks on my link, it will take them to my list of publications on OCID. This is a way on how I can raise visibility of my research output. So if someone wants to, might be interested, they can just quickly click on that link, and it'll take them to my list of publications. And from there, when they are on my list of publications, let me just.
I feel like you're giving me a lesson on how to market myself here and my research. So it's
Yes.
fantastic. No,
So
it is, yeah.
from here, then if someone is interested in this paper, they can
Mm.
just click on the DOI of that, and it'll just take them to that paper, then they can read it. That also, enhance, my citations. They can even, cite me as well.
And you need this, then it will up your H index and
Exactly.
so on. It's like it's
Exactly.
important. Hey? It's important we do this.
Exactly. It's important. I believe that, some researchers, they are either reserved when it comes to using
Yes.
technology.
We are
Uh,
reserved. We really are because it's like, oh, I don't want to boast about my work. You become reserved, like you don't want to make this a thing, but you've got to make it a thing.
yeah. So it's technology has given researchers platforms. There are a lot of platforms that you as researchers we can use to build collaborations to enhance the research outputs as well. So there are these tools that are available to us for free. We just need to dedicate time and familiarize ourselves with these platforms. And as researchers, bear in mind that the library is there to support you.